Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I started this with a different story in mind, and just so happened this Hill article came up. I am enthralled by this. It's tripping me out. Clinton's book to double down on Russia and Comey message. You don't say. You don't say. The most, what is it? The most capable candidate, the person who was more capable and more prepared for the White House, that lost to reality show host, is doubling down that it wasn't her fault that she lost to that reality show host. You don't say. You don't say. Hillary Clinton's upcoming book will double down on Russia's interference and James Comey's involvement in her stunning, and I'm adding, embarrassing election defeat, according to sources familiar with the memoir. Privately, it's not private if it's on the Hill. It's not private if it's on the Hill. Privately, Hillary has told friends and longtime associates that she wants the whole story out there as she rushes to tweak and put the finishing touches on the book that's out in September. She really believes that why she lost, and she wants an act to explain in no uncertain terms, one longtime ally said. She wants the whole story out there from her own perspective. I think a lot of people are going to be really surprised by how much she reveals. The ally said the book of personal essays will be a bombshell. I bet it is. It's going to bomb, all right. The memoir focuses on how Russia, Comey, the former FBI director fired earlier this year by President Donald Trump. Why are you adding that the man was fired? Caused Clinton the White House would run counter to recent messaging from Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and other Democrats about the party's disappointing 2016 results. When you lose to somebody who has a 40% popularity, you don't blame other things. Comey, Russia. You blame yourself, Schumer told Washington Post earlier this week. So what did we do wrong? People didn't know what we stood for. Just that we're against Trump. And they still believe that. A moment of lucidity for Chuck Schumer. Good job. A moment of defining the actual problem. You have a Democrat that defined the problem. Does Chuck Schumer mean it? I don't care. He bent to the will of, at the very least, being able to understand people don't know what we represent. I'd be a little more harsh. People do know what they represent. That's why you lost. That's why you lost. That's why she lost. That's why she lost. That is amazing. That is amazing. I'm not surprised by it. You have a candidate who literally lost a reality show host. She had the second most hated candidate. She was the second most hated candidate with the exception of Donald Trump. Before Donald Trump came on the scene, she was the #1 candidate. Now, she was under FBI investigation for a year, but she was the person who was supposed to be inevitable. She was inevitable. How can you question her? Look at all the votes that she's accrued from people she's, I guess, struck deals with. Before the race even started, before people who even knew was in a race, she had sewn up all of these electoral votes. She limped into the general election after cheating a man that's called himself a goddamn socialist. A socialist! Running up against the most well-known candidate, and that socialist should have won. And poll after poll after poll, when you ask people who they wanted, that socialist won. If that socialist ran against Donald Trump, that socialist would be president right now. The Democratic Party cheated that socialist, cheated him in order to exceed Hillary Clinton into the general election. She couldn't beat him on her own steam. They had to cheat to do it. Despite being that weak of a candidate, that weak, you end up in a situation where she chooses wheat bread or white bread. And I'm not saying that for race. I'm saying that in the level of blandness to which the person represents. Tim Kaine, a thumb in the eye of progressives. Progressives, you can go fuck yourself. You either vote for me or you get Donald Trump. That was the message. That's what she told millennials. That's essentially what she told everybody who was supporting Bernie Sanders. They attacked Nina Turner, At the very least, tried to embarrass the woman. Didn't even let the woman give the speech that she was supposed to give at the DNC. Tried to silence Bernie supporters at the DNC because those people understood that those people were cheated. They were cheated. You lifted Bernie Sanders' broken body up and you showed him. You showed him. Made him crow for you, Hillary Clinton. And those people balked. They booed the guy who earlier they were just cheering on because he invoked your name. That's where the country was. You didn't care. You didn't care. You played up a maniac because you figured that with the gun to the head of the country would have to vote for you. And you were wrong. You lost. You lost. It wasn't just you that lost. You scared so many people away from the polls that Democrats couldn't even take the Senate. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. Are you trying to make the point that Russia had something to do with all those Senate seats that you lost? You lost the House, the Senate, the presidency. You lost 66 out of 99 state legislatures. Are you telling me that Russia had a hand in all of that losing? Why do you lose so much? That's the fundamental question to which we're asking you. And your answer to why you lose so much, how do you lose to reality show hosts? How do you lose reality show hosts? Your answer. Russia. Comey. Russia hacked us. Comey kneecapped me. If we're being honest, Comey should have put your ass in prison. If we're being honest. Based upon the Podesta leaks and based upon the information that was going on in the Clinton Foundation, you should have been arrested. You got off good just from the very basis of Comey hitting you in the knees. This book is going to be absurd. If you want to read a book about the Hillary Clinton campaign, I would say read Shattered. That book is fucking amazing. That book has absolute many bombshells, including the bombshell on the day after the election when people kept asking her, hey, how did you lose reality shows? I'm sorry you lost a reality show host. It must hurt that you lost reality show hosts. Can we have an interview and talk about how you lost the reality shows? After you get tired of hearing that for a while, you say, wait a minute. My story hasn't been told. I'm Hillary Clinton and I lost because Russia hacked us. Russia hacked us and Comey, he hit me in the knees. He hit me in the knees. I'm Hillary Clinton. Whatever pity saw case, whatever self-serving narrative you're going to put into that book, yes, it will be a bombshell. Not the bombshell that you're talking about. I'm talking about a bombshell of ridiculousness. It will be a self-serving narrative that tries to excuse all blame from you. You could have chosen what's her name, Elizabeth Warren, to be your vice president. You could have sidelined her and put her in the corner, and that's not the point. You were in an election where you needed to bend in order to win, and you didn't want to bend. You wanted to get that presidency on your own steam without having anybody to have any attachments to you. Meaning, yes, you can make all these promises, but once you move to the right, you don't care. You make this point of, look, you either get me or you get Donald Trump. What do you want? What do you want? Your gamble didn't play off. You lost. You lost the reality show host. You should have lost the reality show host. The country is going to hurt for you losing to reality show hosts. But your loss presents an opportunity, whether you realize it or not. All of the piddly, ridiculous stuff that Donald Trump is going to do in that office is going to be overturned when the next president gets in that office. The goal for progressives, independents, even Trump supporters who actually really want change in this country, would be to select the candidate that they themselves believe will actually affect real change. If Bernie Sanders is running again, guess what? Bernie Sanders is going to win in 2020. Anybody who runs, whether it's Tulsi Gabbard, whether it's Nina Turner, that person is going to win in 2020. You're going to have a fundamental change in what's considered the Democratic Party. Republican Party looks like they're on top now, but that's only by virtue of how much you failed. That's by virtue of your failure. That's not virtue of their success. There's a difference in those things. This will change. We have to suffer through it, but this will change. 2020 is the bellwether. Your book, your absurd, ridiculous book, has been impeached by the evidence that came out today showing that it wasn't Russia that hacked us. It was a leak. We've been saying all along it was a leak. Julian Assange has been saying all along that someone gave them information that it wasn't Russia. That got in the way of your narrative. That got in the way of the self-serving narrative of the media itself. But it condemns what you're going to write in your ridiculous book, your ridiculous memoir, those ridiculous essays, those completely self-serving essays that tries to blame everybody else except for where the blame needs to be laid on the candidate herself, on the party itself. If you're going to cheat my guy, you're not going to get my vote. I don't give a shit if Satan himself is going to be on the other side of that aisle. That is my policy. It is a scorched earth policy. You can feel how you want to feel about it. If this country needs to burn before this country changes, then this country will burn to the ground if it's up to me and the people who I vote for. I'll leave it at that. This vote, or this book, is going to be absurd. Shattered is the book you want to read if you want to read a book on a campaign. A self-serving narrative about Hillary Clinton's perspective on a Russian hat that never took place. I'm sorry. I'm getting slightly heated. There are real issues in this country. There are real issues. At the back of my head, there's always this thing of, this is goddamn minutia. Why is this woman still in politics? Why is this woman still having a conversation? This woman gave this country over to a fucking maniac. Gave it over to a maniac. Because she herself wanted to get into that office and she believed it was her turn. It's not your turn. It's nobody's turn. You either win or you lose, and you lost. Get over it. Move on to things that actually affect the people in this particular country. What Chuck Schumer said was absolutely correct. Nobody knows what you stand for. Nobody still knows what you stand for. Right now, you're just opposition to Trump. That doesn't mean anything. Trump has all sorts of baggage, including stuff with him, access to mob and everything else. The only thing you can talk about is a Russian narrative. That is weak at best. Who are you? And this is when I'm talking to the party. Who are you? Who are you? Who do you represent? The people who are paying you or the people who are voting for you? That's the question that lingers in the air to Democrats. That lingers in the air right now over the Democratic Party. You get no votes from progressives. Do you understand that? Anything that you're going to win on the steam of other Democrats. You're not going to win on the steam of progressives because those people don't consider themselves Democrats. They would rather this country burn than putting another corporate shield in that office. That's the party to which you're left with. Hillary Clinton, good job. You've given it over to a maniac. Your book is going to be absurd and ridiculous. No, I'm not buying it. I recommend nobody else does it either. If you want a book on the election, get shattered. Alright guys, if you enjoyed the content, feel free to share, write, subscribe. You can always support the work through Patreon. Thank you.